is your gray warfare zone. Okay, so what is it all about? Let's first understand why we are talking about this. The Chief of Defense Services, General Anil Chauhan, has said while he was addressing a session in Raisina Dialogue, which is going on, he has said that gray zone warfare, is the latest entry because of what has happened in South China Sea and the northern borders. Okay, so basically, this is with respect to China gray warfare. So it was an indirect attack on the China's policy, indirect criticism with respect to China's policy. So if you see what is gray zone warfare, see, whenever you are not in direct war confrontation, okay, you are having a proxy sort of warfare, that is referred to as gray zone warfare. Okay, now what all comes under this is, it is like cyber attacks, misinformation, economic pressures you used to subtly undermine and destabilize the opponent. China has been particularly adapted employing its strategy, notably against India and other neighborhood. Okay, so as we discussed, it was also targeting China. So now we will look after the China gray zone warfare, how it is happening. Okay, what are they doing in order to pursue their agenda with respect to gray zone? So what we have understood so far, what is gray zone warfare? It is any sort of warfare which does not include a direct war confrontation, okay, but indirectly you are putting pressures on the opponent. You are using other tactics to undermine the opponent. Okay, that is gray zone warfare. Now if you see this particular we'll then see the examples where China has used the gray zone warfare tactics. Okay, so the very first example, as the CDS also has cited, is your South China Sea. So what is the activities which China is pursuing in South China Sea? So if you see, this is your South China Sea. Here there are many group of islands like Parcel Islands, Spratly Islands, Corbug Shoal. These are the islands, and this particularly line is referred to as nine dash line. Okay, this line. Now, China is basically claiming that all these are island which are coming in this zone of nine dash line are their territory. However, these are disputed and has been claimed by many countries like Vietnam, Philippines, Indonesia. These countries are claiming that it is not China's territory; it is the territory belonging to their own countries. Now, with reference to this, there was also uh, a judgment given by ICJ, which was not in favor of South China Sea, but in the favor of Philippines. Now, and China, being a permanent member of Security Council, outrightly rejected to implement the decision of ICJ. And we have already discussed many times that ICJ do not have any enforcement mechanism. And if at all they have, it is the UNSC who can pressurize country to follow. But if China is the member of UNSC and they have a veto power, they can actually overdo the decision of any body. Okay, now that is where the bone of contention lies. Okay, now if you see, along with claiming and not the one thing that they are doing is they are claiming the territories. Second thing they are doing is they have outrightly rejected the judgment given by ICJ. The third thing that they have done along with this rejection and claiming the territory, they have started creating artificial islands by putting by using their naval vessels and everything. They are deliberately creating artificial islands and claiming their own thing, them as their own territory. Now, why is China doing that? The China is simply doing that. We have discussed the other day as well. There's a body called UN clause. According to them, they have this. We in order to have a sovereign waters, we have divided water into many zones, and if this is your territory, then a certain area is referred to as exclusive economic zone. Okay. So the more territory you have in water, the more exclusive zone you have. So you have more access to access to more resources, and then you can have sovereignty and over more water. And that is why China, as a part of its expansionary policies in terms of territory as well, and to have own more and more resources in the sea, they are deliberately creating more island along with claiming these islands, and that is the entire dispute which is in the South China Sea. And this is what which is referred to as not a direct warfare but a gray zone warfare, where they are not directly fighting with each other, okay, but they are using their practice and tactics uh, to claim more sovereignty over these areas. So this was their thing with respect to South China Sea. The second thing that they are doing is building near our borders. They are, we also know about CPEC, BRI, Border Road Initiative. And we have also seen that China has heavily invested in the neighborhood countries of India, such as Sri Lanka, where they have taken over the Hambantota port, and they have developed many, economically make dependent many countries in the neighborhood. Okay. So this is what they are doing. BRI is a flagship project of China, and we know that CPAC is going through the POK part of India. So where India has outrightly rejected, but Pakistan has accepted the proposal, and where Pakistan is also financially dependent on China. Okay, so these are all the activities which is doing. Which China is doing in order to pursue its agenda with respect to cornering India. Okay, now, the third thing that they are doing is digital investments. So, China is investing in apps, media, and other digital platforms in India. So, if you remember, in the recent past, the government has banned many apps which were linked to China. And in terms of Paytm, also, we had seen that 10% of the share were hold. 10% of shareholder of the Paytm payment bank was a Chinese company, and that is where we have also seen that the apps which are heavily invested by China, we have seen some sort of money laundering activities going through them. So that is why government is coming very strictly on the apps which have financial dependent or whose shareholders are Chinese shareholders. So that is where, because we all know that China, the it is the government marketplace. It's not public, basically the private nahi hai wahan pe, it is the government marketplace. Okay, so government own all the resources of the country, so they can ask for any data from any private firm also any day. There is no bar on China's intervention, the government intervention, with respect to their private market space as well. And that is where the Indian government is very cautious. So these are the example of China gray zone warfare against India. Now, let's see what are the India's countermeasures. So India, as we have discussed, has realized the threat that is coming, and that is where we have also taken countermeasures. As we discussed, that we are checking on the applications which are there, and the investment which is coming from Chinese firm. We are very stern with the investment that is coming from the Chinese firms, and then we have interagency collaboration in defense, intelligence, and police force. And in the recent time, you have also seen that we are trying to fence our border areas also, okay, with the other countries as well. Then increased vigilance. India has ramped up surveillance, the fencing of the border areas, strategic locations. Now, regulating tech inflows. Same. We are scrutinizing the foreign tech investment which is coming to India in order to ensure that it is we are nationally secure. Okay. So this was about the gray zone warfare, and we discussed what is it all about, what is the China tactic with respect to gray zone warfare if you consider it with respect to India, and then the steps that the Indian government has taken to counter the tactics of Chinese.